The conference room was filled with chatter and the soft clinking of coffee cups when my phone buzzed on the table. I glanced down and saw Jason's name flashing across the screen. My husband. I smiled a little, assuming it was just his usual check-in. Maybe he'd ask how my work trip was going, or when I'd be home. I quietly excused myself and stepped into the hallway, expecting the same calm voice I'd heard 1,000 times before. But this time, his tone was different. Cold, distant, and almost proud. "Emily," he said flatly, "I'm divorcing you." For a second, I thought I'd misheard him. But then he kept talking, each word cutting deeper. "I've already sold the apartment, so you'll need to figure out where you're going to live. Enjoy that. If you've ever had your whole world fall apart in one phone call, you'll understand how I felt at that moment. Please make sure to like this video and subscribe. It means a lot when you support stories like this, because what happened next changed everything for me." My breath caught in my throat. I couldn't even find the words at first. "You sold the apartment?" I asked quietly, trying to stay calm even as my heart pounded. "Yeah," he said with a short, arrogant laugh. "Brianna and I need the money to start our life together." She deserves better than that tiny place anyway. Brianna. Hearing her name out loud hit me like a punch to the chest. I'd suspected there was someone else, Jason's late nights, sudden business trips, the emotional distance, but hearing him say it so casually, as if I were the problem, made something inside me snap. "Sounds great," I said evenly. My voice didn't shake. I wasn't going to give him the satisfaction of hearing me cry. My name is Emily, and until that call, I thought I'd married a good man. Jason and I had been together for 6 years. Sure, it wasn't perfect, but I believed in our partnership. We'd worked hard for everything we had. The apartment, our stability, our plans. That 2-bedroom place in the city wasn't just a home to me, it was a symbol of everything we'd built. Or so I thought. Looking back, there had been signs I ignored. Jason always brushed off my concerns about money. He'd smile, kiss my forehead, and tell me not to worry. I mistook his charm for confidence. Now I knew it was arrogance. The arrogance of a man who thought he could do whatever he wanted, and I'd just accept it. The rest of that day went by in a blur. I sat through meetings, nodded at all the right times, but my mind wasn't there. Jason thought he'd won. He thought he could sell our home, walk away, and leave me scrambling. But he didn't know one very important thing. I'd had the deed to the apartment transferred into my name months ago, when we refinanced. He'd signed the paperwork without even reading it, too focused on his own ego to notice. That mistake would come back to destroy him. By the time I got back to my hotel that night, I wasn't broken. I was angry, focused, and ready to fight back. My first call was to Rachel, my lawyer and oldest friend. I told her everything, every detail. "Wait, he sold the apartment?" she asked, disbelief in her voice. "Does he even realize he can't do that without your consent?" "Apparently not," I said, almost laughing now. "He thinks the money's his to spend on his new life with Brianna." Rachel chuckled. "Then he's in for a rude awakening." "That sale is invalid. You can prove full ownership, and if he's taken any money, that's fraud." That word, fraud, sent a chill of satisfaction down my spine. "Tell me what to do," I said. "First," she replied, "we'll contact the buyer and let them know the sale's illegal. Then, I'll send Jason a formal letter explaining what he's just done. If he tries anything else, we'll take him to court." When I hung up, a calm washed over me. Jason thought he'd broken me, but he'd just handed me the perfect chance to take back control. The next few days were a strange mix of work and quiet planning. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I focused on what needed to be done. When my flight home landed, I called Rachel right away. "I'm back," I said, pulling my suitcase off the carousel. "What's the latest?" "The buyer's been notified," she said briskly. "They're furious at Jason but willing to cooperate. I've also sent him the official letter. It outlines everything: your sole ownership, the fraud implications, and his zero legal rights. He hasn't responded yet, but I'm sure he's fuming. Good, I said. Let him stew. When I got home, the apartment felt strange. His stuff was still there. His jackets, his shoes, but the air felt different. The place didn't belong to him anymore, and deep down, I think I already knew it. Later that evening, the door slammed open. Jason came storming in, his face red with anger, a piece of paper clenched in his hand. "What the hell is this?" he shouted, waving Rachel's letter. "You're telling me I can't sell the apartment?" "It's half mine." I stayed calm. "No, Jason. It's not. The deed's been in my name for months. You can't sell what you don't own." He froze. For a second, he looked like a child caught in a lie. "What are you talking about?" I grabbed the folder I'd prepared and held up the document. "Remember when we refinanced? You signed off on this without reading it, like you always do. You gave me full ownership." His jaw tightened. "You think you're so clever," he sneered. "This doesn't change anything. I already made a deal, and when this blows up, you'll look like a fool." "The sale's already void," I said firmly. "The buyer knows everything. If you took a single dollar from them, that's on you. And if you've spent it, you'll be facing charges, not me." For the first time, I saw his confidence crack. "You don't know what you're talking about," he muttered. "Oh, I do," I said quietly. "You've spent years treating me like I'm too naive to notice what you're doing. But this time, Jason, I noticed everything." He started pacing, his frustration growing. "You're overreacting. You can't just kick me out." "Actually," I said, folding my arms, "I can. This is my apartment. You can stay here for now, but only until you find somewhere else. I'm being more generous than you deserve." Over the next few days, his anger turned to desperation. He called constantly, leaving voicemails that swung between begging and threatening. Rachel kept handling the legal side, making sure every loose end was tied up. The buyer withdrew from the deal and demanded their money back. The fraud notice was ready to go. Jason was running out of options. One evening, my best friend Megan came over to help me pack his things. We boxed up his stuff in silence until she finally said, "How's he taking it?" "Not well," I admitted, letting out a short laugh. "He still thinks he can talk his way out of this." Megan smirked and tossed one of his shirts into the box. "He's delusional." "You deserve peace, Em." "I know," I said softly, and for the first time in years, I actually believed it. A few days later, the moment I'd been waiting for came. Jason walked in, with her, Brianna. They looked smug, like they owned the place. "So this is where we're staying," Brianna said, her voice dripping with entitlement. I stood up slowly. "No," I said. "This is where Jason was staying." "You won't be staying here at all." Her smile faded. Jason's jaw clenched. "What is this?" he snapped. "This," I said, gesturing around, "is my home. Not yours, and definitely not hers. You don't get to betray me and then move in with your mistress." Brianna looked stunned. Jason's anger flared. "You can't do this. You're being unreasonable." I met his glare calmly. "No, Jason. What's unreasonable is trying to sell my apartment behind my back. You're lucky I haven't pressed charges yet." Brianna turned to him, confused. "Wait, what is she talking about?" "You said this was your place, that you sold it." Jason stammered. "It's complicated." "It's not complicated," I interrupted. "You tried to sell property that wasn't yours." "You committed fraud, Jason. You lied. To me, to the buyer, and apparently to her too." Brianna's eyes widened. "Fraud?" she repeated, backing away. "You lied to me?" "Bree, I can fix this. Don't bother," she snapped, grabbing her purse. "I'm not getting dragged into your mess." And with that, she stormed out. I turned back to Jason, my voice steady. "Looks like you're alone now." He dropped his head into his hands. "Please, Emily," he said quietly. "I screwed up. You don't have to do this." "You're right," I said, placing a folder in front of him. I don't have to, but I will. These are the divorce papers. Rachel already drew them up. The sooner you sign, the sooner we're done. He stared at the papers, pale and defeated. You really hate me that much? I gave a small, sad smile. No, I don't hate you. I pity you. You had everything, a wife who loved you, a life we built together, and you threw it all away. He didn't argue. He just nodded, stood, and left. The door closed softly behind him, and for the first time in years, I exhaled without pain in my chest. The apartment was silent, almost peaceful. His energy, his chaos, it was gone. I walked through each room slowly, letting the quiet sink in. I'd won. Not just the fight, but my life back. That night, Megan came over with takeout and wine. Is he really gone? She asked, plopping on the couch. Gone and not coming back, I said, handing her a glass. She grinned. To new beginnings. I smiled, clinking glasses. To never letting anyone walk all over me again. Over the next few days, I started reclaiming my space. I rearranged furniture, added my favorite photos, and filled the rooms with light. It wasn't just decorating, it was healing. Rachel called later that week with updates. The fraud issue's off the table since the buyer dropped it, she said, but the divorce is moving fast. He signed everything, the word free echoed in my head. I was finally free, from him, from his lies, from the constant weight of his control. He tried texting me a few times afterward. I made a mistake, one said. Can we talk? Another one said, You're ruining me. I never replied. He wasn't worth my energy anymore. A month later, the apartment looked completely different. Not because I remodeled, but because it felt like me again. Light, peaceful, alive. One evening, while cleaning out drawers, I found an old photo of us from our early years. We were smiling, happy, full of dreams. I stared at it for a moment before tucking it away. It was part of my past, but it didn't define me anymore. When my divorce finalized, Megan took me out to celebrate. Single life looks good on you, she said, raising her drink. It's not the single life, I said, smiling softly. It's the freedom. As I sat that night by my window, watching the city lights flicker below, I thought about everything that had happened. The betrayal, the pain, the revenge, the freedom. Jason thought he'd won when he made that call. But in the end, it was his arrogance that destroyed him. And me? I didn't just survive, I started over. And for the first time in a very long time, I felt completely free.